welcome back to another video. We just finished our little mini series on Colossians and right in time for the Christmas season. So my thought was, since it's almost Christmas, it's the first week, well, I guess when I'm filming this, it's the day before Thanksgiving, but it's going to be the first week of December when this goes live, which is why we've got some Christmas-ish stuff around. You can't really see everything else because it's where you can't see it, but I've decorated a little bit for Christmas, but I figured since it's that season of the year that we should probably cover the Christmas story in the next couple of weeks. Either really dive into it in one of the Gospels or go in between a couple different Gospels. So that is what this video is going to be. It's going to be our first in our little series for the holidays that we've got going on. But before we dive right on in, I would just like to spotlight our fancy, smancy tea of the day today. So our teacup today, if I can get it, there we go. So it's got this cute little one on the back. See, I should always do this before I put tea in it, so just don't let me slowly turn it here. And then on the front, it's got this other cute little thing of roses. The tea that we are drinking today, though, is the Stash brand Double Spice Chai Tea. And it's honestly, it is a chai, but it just has such a holiday taste to it. It kind of just tastes, I don't know how to explain it. It just tastes like the holidays. It tastes like the spices that you use when you're baking, and just, it tastes fantastic. And so that's our tea for the day today. Before I ramble on too much longer about the delicious tea that I am sipping on this morning, I just want to dive right on into our psalm for the day. As per usual, I am reading from this journaling Bible from Crossway Books. It is the English Standard Version, and it has the room in the margins for notes and things. And I also I love all the flower detailing on the front because I'm a grandma and I like my flowers. But let's just dive right on into Psalm 63 today. I'm just going to spotlight a couple verses that I either found convicting or just so powerful. So I'm going to start in verse 3 in Psalm 63. It says, "Because your steadfast love is better than life, my lips will praise you." And that verse kind of made me start to think, is my faith, is the love of God, is my relationship with him, is it really better than my life? Is this something that I would honestly die for if someone did put a gun to my head and was like, are you a Christian, are you not, And that's something that I feel like in Western Christianity, we don't have to worry about as much because we are extremely blessed to live in a nation that allows us to have religious freedoms, no matter what side you land on the political coin. We are extremely blessed to live where we do. And it's when you truly start to think about, would I still be doing this if I could die for it? That's when you really start to evaluate how much your faith means to you in your life. And I also just love verses 7 and 8 where it says, "For you have been my help, and in the shadow of your wings I will sing for joy. My soul clings to you, your right hand upholds me." That's so powerful to me because there have been so many times in my life, even so many times in the past year, that I have only been able to go on because of, Christ holding me up, because of the strength of God and just the strength that has been infused in me by those in my church and by those around me. And it's just something incredible to me that I feel like we so often forget that in the hard times, that is even more so when we need to be leaning on God than in the good times. Not that you shouldn't lean on him in the good times, but you know what I mean. And I also just want to highlight verse 11 where it says, "But the king shall rejoice in God." And I just want to highlight that specific portion because, it says the king shall rejoice in God. And, the king is the head of Israel. The king is the person in Israel with the most power. But he still reports to God and rejoices in him. And this is something that, for me, one of the things that I try and pay the most attention to when I meet new people when I meet new potential partners, is thinking, will they truly rejoice in God more than they rejoice in me? Because that is something that needs to happen. Your partner and your spouse eventually needs to be able to put God above you, put you below God, because God is ultimately the one that he needs to report to. God is ultimately the one that is the true head of this household. And if your spouse puts you above God in positions of, power, that's not okay. You need somebody that is ultimately going to do what God wants them to do and not necessarily what they think is best. Not what you think is best, but what they truly feel like God is calling you to as a couple and as a family, if you have kids and things like that. And kids and things, if you guys have children or, as a familial unit. Before I ramble any longer, let's dive right on into our Christmas story of the day here, because I love Christmas, so if I can get my Bible open to the right page here. We're starting in Matthew chapter 1, verse 18 today, and it says, "Now the birth of Jesus Christ took place in this way. When his mother Mary had been betrothed to Joseph, before they came together, she was found to be with child from the Holy Spirit. And her husband Joseph, being a just man and unwilling to put her to shame, resolved to divorce her quietly." And I just want to pause after finishing verse 19, because I think that it's really important that, as you begin to either look into potential partners for marriage or relationships or whatever, but, in my mind, I only will date for marriage, so, that's kind of, if I ever say that, that's what I mean. But when you look into people like that, or if you're just evaluating other men in your life to try and figure out how you can help them grow, which again, you never try and help people grow if they don't ask. Nobody likes that. But I just think that it's really wonderful. Joseph is, he's a stand-up guy. It says that he's a just man, and he doesn't want to shame her. He's not, understand, he's probably a little bit angry at this point, finding out that the woman that you're betrothed to has a child and it's not yours. But he still loves her enough to not shame her. He loves her enough to not cast her down and make it a huge public disgrace and, make her the talk of the town. Because I'm sure that there already was talk about her, so he's not trying to fuel those rumors. And then in verse 20 it says, "But as he considered these things, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream, saying, Joseph, son of David, do not fear to take Mary as your wife, for that which is conceived in her is from the Holy Spirit. She will bear a son, and you shall call his name Jesus, for he will save his people from their sins." And I just want to pause there. I just finished verse 21. But I want to just highlight that it says that the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream. And I feel like with astrology taking off and all the psychics and all that jazz, not that it's never been a thing before now, but I feel like with a lot of that has turned the church off from using the dreams as signs from God for different things. And I think that that's something that should not be necessarily disregarded. I feel like if God did it with Joseph, and he did it with Joseph, but he also has done it with other people in the Bible, that is something that he still can very easily use to communicate with us about things. And just in the first 2 chapters of Matthew, we see God speaking to us as humans through dreams a lot. He speaks to Joseph in a dream in in chapter 1, verse 20. He speaks to, I gotta find it, the wise men in chapter 2, verse 12 in a dream. He speaks again to Joseph in a dream in chapter 2, verse 13. And I think that's something that as Christians, that's not something that we should allow the devil to turn and take for evil. That is something that, obviously take some of your dreams with a grain of salt, but at the same time recognize that is a way that God can communicate with us. I feel like that's something that so many Christians are like, oh, God doesn't do that anymore. And it's at least from my perspective, if God has done it once, he can easily do it again. Especially when it comes to ways that he's going to reach out to us and communicate with us. It's not like he only talks to us in one way forever. He talks to us in many different ways, and I think that all of those ways have their time and place, and it's recognizing that and acknowledging that can truly help us figure out what he's calling us towards. The easiest, I guess? Not the easiest, what will help us uncover what he truly wants for us to do in the most well-rounded way, I guess. So I also I got to give it to Joseph, because again, having the faith that Mary, what the angel told him in his dream, and also having the faith in Mary that it wasn't someone else's kid, that it wasn't that she had cheated on him or something like that. That's a lot of faith that it takes in Joseph to have in Mary, and I just got to give it to that guy. Good job. But continuing into verse 22, it says, "All this took place to fulfill what the Lord had spoken by the prophet. Behold, the virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel," which means God with us. When Joseph woke from his sleep, he did as the angel of the Lord commanded him. He took his wife, but he knew her not until she had given birth to a son, and he called his name Jesus. And I also I want to highlight verse 23 where it says, "Behold, the virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel." I don't know if any of you guys have seen this documentary, I think is the word I would use to describe it, but it's called The Star of Bethlehem. You can find it on YouTube. But it's actually really interesting, and it kind of ties in with the first couple of verses of chapter 2. But I don't know how astronomers do it, because, like, I don't understand it. But they were, like, you can look and see what the sky did on nights before. You can, like, track where the stars are going and things. And The Star of Bethlehem, the movie, the documentary, whatever you want to call it, is actually really interesting. I mean, I remember I was first shown it when I was in middle school, I want to say, like junior high, middle school. But it was really interesting. It was talking about what the stars were doing on that night, and just, it was really intriguing to see, because there was one star that was like, it was a star that had kind of, I don't exactly remember, it's been a while since I've seen it, but basically there was a star that was extremely bright and prominent, and it was around the Virgin constellation, Virgo, and so it was around that one, and it was like moving around there and stuff, and that it was also around the king constellation, something that symbolized a king in, like, the stars. It was around that at the same, like, it was a star that isn't normally in those, and so it's interesting that it was around those two things, because it was the king that was being born from the Virgin, and that, you know, there's also I wasn't planning to go into chapter 2 today, but I'm going to a little bit. So it says, in chapter 2, starting in verse 1, it says, "Now after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, wise men from east of Jerusalem, saying, Where is he who has been born king of the Jews? For we saw his star when it rose, and have come to worship him." And then I'm going to pause there. So the thing that I found interesting about this documentary is that it was kind of following what we think is the star that was above Bethlehem, because it's not usually that common that you would have a star that is extremely bright and, like, outshining all the other stars in the sky that is staying over one place, because normally each night the stars will move. It's like, you know, with our rotation, like, they also, or I guess they don't move, we move, but you know what I mean. And so it's interesting to, I will try and find it and link it down below, but it's really interesting to watch that after, you know, growing up, hearing about the star that was over Bethlehem, and then also hearing the prophecy about, you know, how obviously he was born from the Virgin Mary, but then to have the star that is extremely bright and prominent on that night, many, 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 many moons ago, you know, to be in the constellation of Virgo, and then also, I can't remember if it was a constellation or like a belt, but something rather that was symbolic of, like, a king or a lion. It was something like that, like Leo, or it was, I don't remember exactly because it's been a while since I've seen it, but it was just really interesting to see that, because, like, it just kind of even further shows that God had to have had that planned for us since the dawn of creation, because it's not like the stars just, like, if we can track them that far back, they do have some sense of pattern, and so that pattern had to have been set in place when it was first set into motion, you know, and that was just something that was mind-bogglingly amazing to me. So link it down below, don't worry. But I'm trying to think, because I want to make this series a little bit shorter and more bite-sized, but I also still want to go deeper into it. But it is, like, I'm just going to be focusing on the, like, first bit of the Christmas story and not continuing into the ministry of Jesus during December, at least. If we want to go further into the Gospels later, let me know, comment down below, or shoot me a DM on Instagram, whichever works for you. But yeah, so that's where I'm going to leave us today. I just finished chapter 1 of Matthew, and then a little bit into chapter 2. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this short little snippet of a Christmas series that we're starting up. And I cannot believe that it is already December. That's just, it's insane to me, and it's crazy, and wow. Like, I still cannot believe how much has happened this year. Wow, it's insane to me and how quickly it's gone by. But before I ramble too much, I just want to thank you guys, you know, as usual, for watching. And it means a lot to me that you guys take time out of your day to sit and, like, listen to my ramblings. And, you know, if you do find them beneficial, please, please, please feel free to leave a like or share it, or, you know, just, that helps the channel grow. And if you want to see more videos from me with our quirky little teas, feel free to subscribe. And if you want more frequent content, feel free to follow on Instagram. And there's also the written blog for Tea and God, and those are always linked down below. And yeah, I just hope that you guys are having a great start to the holiday season. I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving last week if you're here in the US. If you did, comment the best food that was at Thanksgiving, because, you know, every year there's always something that's really good and something that's not so great. And also comment, are you a turkey or a ham person? I am all for the ham. I've always been a ham girl. I love it. But yeah, I just hope that you guys are having a great start to the Christmas season, and happy December, happy early Christmas. I cannot believe it, but yeah, sorry, I'm rambling. And again, as always, try this one. It is really good, especially for this time of year. It's fantastic. But I will leave you guys here, and as always, if you leave knowing nothing else, I hope you guys know how loved and cherished and precious you are to the God that created you. And I will see you guys all either on Saturday for another video or next week in next week's video. And yeah, that's it. Bye, guys.